Good afternoon, Niaja. How are you? Or salutations, I should say. I Today we're gonna wait a minute. Roll call. Who's brilliant? I am. Who's smart and intelligent? I am. Who's covered by the blood of Jesus? I am. You are. Raise your hand if you are a scholar. Raise your hand if you're an aspiring mathematician. Raise your hand if you know and believe that the Most High God loves you, that you are covered from the crown of your head to the sole of your feet, and you are absolutely and truly and magnificently made in the image of a limitless God. That's right. Niaja, I love you. I believe in you. I know how much you love math, and so we're going to do some more math problems. All right, so today we're going to look specifically at fractions. Okay, we're going to look at fractions. Excuse me, we're looking at fractions, but we're going to be using a word problem to gather the information we need to solve them. Now, our solution is going to involve a fraction, and we have to work. We have to kind of work look at our context clues. So I want to review some key terms. You remember when we talked about how we can figure out what's the most appropriate approach to finding the answer to a word problem? Remember we talked about context clues and key terms like subtract or minus or take away or difference. All means that the problem requires you to do subtraction. If you hear words like add or more or increase, you know that you're going to be adding. So when you look at fractions, and remember, basically fractions is the most fundamental component of division. And that means it's basic division. Okay? So when we look at our word problems, some key words that we need to make sure that we acknowledge or look out for are portion, divide, share, split, equal, or it can also be parts or segment. Okay? So these are all keywords that we would look out for. So let me repeat them again. You want to look for words like portion, divide, share, split, equal, parts, and segment. Those are all words that indicate that the operation in some way involves division. And 9 times out of 10, depending on how the question is asked, you may have to create a fraction. Um, so I'm going to read to you our first word problem that we're going to do together. And we're going to kind of work through it, remembering what we've already practiced. Now, remember, anytime you do a fraction, you're looking at a whole and its parts. Okay? You're looking at a whole and its parts. And had I been thinking, I wish I had another sheet of paper, I could have done some practice problems. As a matter of fact, let's do a couple practice fractions and we'll come back to this, okay? All right. So, we're going to do a couple practice fractions, all right? Just to kind of remember and just to continue practicing. You did substantial practice the last couple years on fractions, so I don't expect to have to keep, but I just want to do a quick refresher, okay? So now let's take a look at it. All right, so if on, let's look at fraction A, okay? I don't know how well you can see it because I don't have a marker. I can use the dry erase marker, but this is okay. So I'm going to trace them all with the dry erase marker so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so, okay. So for problem A, right, we have 1/3, okay? For problem A, we have 1/3. So let's look over here in our answer column and see which is the most appropriate shape that has 1/3 of the shape colored. So again, what we want to look at is the numerator and the denominator. The numerator is up top. It tells you how many segments have been colored. The denominator is on the bottom. The denominator tells you how many parts are in total, how many parts there are in total. Okay? So now let's look here. In this section, the first answer, how many parts are there? We know there are only 2 parts. Does that match the numerator in problem A? No, it does not. So that can't be the answer, right? So let's look here. How many parts does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Does that match the numerator? The denominator? Nope. Let's look at this shape. It has 1, 2, 3 parts. Does that match the denominator? Absolutely. How many parts are colored? Only 1. So 1/3 has been shaded. So is that the correct answer? Absolutely it is. So let's draw a line. Excellent. Okay. All right. So now let's look at 1/2. Okay. So our fraction in B says 1/2. Okay. So now let's look over here and see which shape has 1/2 shaded. You already guessed it. The first shape is divided into how many parts? 2, so that matches the denominator. And how many parts are colored? 1, so it matches the numerator. So 1/2 would be the first shape. Okay, so now let's look at the next one. Okay, so we're looking at 3/4. All right, so we have to look at a shape that's been divided into 4 parts. Okay? Ooh. Did I do it? Oh, shoot. Mommy apologizes. Mommy apologizes. I must have made a mistake. I have to regroup. This is 3/6. This is the 6/8. I did 2/6/8. Duh. That's my fault. This was only supposed to be 4. Okay. Mommy made a mistake. Mommy made a oopsie. So let me fix it really quickly. I'm gonna do it here. Okay. Okay. All right, this is a kind of a gimme because I just did it right here in front of you. So let's look at the last shape. All right, so if we look at the last shape, right, and it says 3/4. All right, so we know that we're looking for a shape that has how many parts in total? 4, correct. So this shape has been divided into 4 equal parts, okay? How many parts are shaded? 1, 2, 3. So the fraction that indicates what part of the portion of this shape that's been shaded is 3/4. So if we look at fraction C, we know that the best shape to match that is here. Okay? All right. So now, if we look at fraction D, it's 3/6. So how many parts must be in the shape that we use? Now we've already used some of the shapes, so there's no need for us to recount those because we've already used them. So now we're going to look here, okay? So now we have 2 shapes. This shape has been divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts, okay? So we know that that's not the answer because it can only be divided into 6. But let's look at this shape. It's divided into how many parts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the denominator matches. So there's 6 parts. Now how many parts have been colored? 1, 2, 3. So 3/6. So does this fraction match this shaded picture? It absolutely does. Okay. So now let's take a look here. Let's look here. So now, we've already know there's only one answer, so it's simply by process of elimination we can answer that question. But for the sake of process, Let's just look. It has 8 parts, so the denominator matches, and 6 of those parts are colored, so the numerator matches also. So the appropriate shape is here, okay? So now we've successfully looked and identified all of the shapes, all of the fractions, and we've matched them to the appropriate shapes that indicate the segment of each shape that's been colored. And so fractions are, again, as we spoke about earlier this week, fractions are divided into 2 parts. Fractions are divided into 2 parts, yes. The numerator and the denominator. The denominator tells you how many parts there are in total, okay? And the numerator tells you how many have been selected or not selected, because sometimes they may say, what is the fraction that is not selected? So then you want to count how many parts haven't been chosen or haven't been used. Okay? Sometimes they want to know, well, how many pieces were used? So then you want to look at the pieces that have been shaded or have been utilized. Okay? So those are some of the things that you should think about when you're in terms of how we can use fractions. And it's important because as we move to the next phase of using fractions and being able to extract a fraction from a word problem, we have to put all of that kind of stuff together to be able to work effectively in order to answer this question. Okay, so now if we hold on one second. All right, so Nyaja, this is the word problem we discussed before. And remember, anytime we're dealing with fractions or when you're dealing with word problems, you're looking for context clues, right? So we're looking for context clues to let us know what we're going to do, even though we already know we're working with fractions. So some of the words we're looking for are portion, divide, share, split, equal, parts, and segments. Those are all key terms when we're working with fractions, okay? So now let's listen to the word problem. Kimberly divided her pizza into 8 slices. She decided to share her pizza with 3 of her friends. Everyone received 2 slices. What fraction of the pizza did each person receive? Okay, so now let's look. A pizza would be what shape? Of course, a circle. So we divide it into how many parts? 8 pieces, right? Because it says here, she divided her pizza into 8 slices. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So now we know that we have, so our denominator would be what? Did you say 8? You're absolutely correct. Okay, now, so she decided to share her pizza with 3 of her friends. So how many people are getting pizza? 3. She had 3 friends, and then you also have to count who? Kimberly. So 4 people are getting pizza. Okay. So 4 people are getting pizza. That's an important fact. Everyone received 2 slices. So we have to count by 2. So, okay, this is the first person, right? That's 1. This is the second person. So everybody got 2 slices, all right? So one person gets 2. So now, what fraction of the pizza did each person receive? So if everybody got 2 slices, right? And this is one person, let's say that this is Kimberly, okay? Let's say that this is Kim, okay? So Kim got 2 out of the 8 slices. So everybody got how many pieces? And then somebody else is going to get another 2, okay? Let's say that this person is John. Then another person is going to get 2. Let's say that this person is Amy. Then another person is going to get 2. Let's say that this person is Niaja. Okay? So how many people is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. And how much did each person get? 2. So the fraction that describes what each person received is 2 over 8. Okay? Because each person got 2 pieces, 2 of the 8 pieces. Okay? Each person got 2 of the 8 pieces. Okay? So we're going to do a different one. So So again, we're looking at what we're selecting. So if each person is getting 2 pieces and we have 8 in total, our numerator, okay, is the number that we selected is 2 and our denominator is 8, okay? All right, so now let's try again. And we're going to do a different problem. How did that feel? Did that make sense to you? Let's see. Okay, I absolutely had a napkin here, but I'm going to have to put it by hand. Okay. All right, so let's do another one. All right. Okay, let's look here. Let's look at this one. Jason had 10 pieces of gum. We're going to write it out. Okay. Jason had 10 pieces of gum. He divided his gum equally with his friend Jesse. Okay? How much did each person receive? All right, how much did each person receive? Okay, so let's kind of take a look at it. So we have here, let's write out the gumballs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So imagine these are gumballs. And how many do we have in total? That's going to tell us what our denominator is. Okay? How many do we have in total? Did you say 10? You are absolutely correct. So we have 10 we have 10 gumballs total. That's our denominator. Now, how many would each person receive if they both receive equal amounts? So that means that every time Jason gave himself one, he gave Jesse one. So Jason, Jesse, Jason, Jesse, Jason, Jesse, Jason, Jesse, Jason, Jesse. So now we have 10. We've accounted for 10. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if we have 2 hands, there are 5 on each hand, and so this is 10. We're dividing it equally. How much would each person receive? 5. Very good. So we can actually do a divide right down the middle, just like that. Each person received 5. So that is a perfect half, okay, of 10. So our fraction is 5 out of 10, okay? So that's what each person received, okay? So now, those are our 2 word problems with fractions. Now, I wanted to do a separate word problem. Well, actually, why don't we focus on those? So those are the 2 word problems we're going to do, okay? So I want you to practice those with your dad, or ask your dad to help you practice those, and we can see how, and we can discuss it. So if there was anything that you're uncertain about, feel free to give me a call. We'll talk about it. I hope to hear from you soon, baby. I love you and I miss you, and I hope to talk to you soon. I love you. Have a great day.